One of the key political dynamics of the moment is the idea from the Democratic Alliance, their leader John Steenhuisen, for opposition parties and some civil society groups to work together to try and prevent, in his view, the ANC from coming back into power next year, and particularly to stop the ANC teaming up with the EFF. When Steenhuisen first made the suggestion, several opposition parties seemed to be, well, against the idea. Now the DA says it has 5 parties who are going to join in the movement, but the United Democratic Movement is rejecting the idea. The leader of the UDM is General Bantu Holomisa. General Holomisa, good afternoon to you and thank you for your time. Why are you rejecting the proposal from the Democratic Alliance?
First and foremost, we are not rejecting the idea that the ANC government needs to be replaced because they have failed dismally to deliver services, and also it looks like they have abandoned the original agenda, that of looking after all South Africans. So what we are saying, in so far as John is concerned, is that this discussion, this debate has been going on in the forum of the opposition, where the DA is part of. The last sitting on this issue was on the 15th of March, and I was tasked to write to the IEC to request the IEC to brief the leaders of the opposition, and on the forthcoming election, their state of readiness and the new bill now. And we also said that a day before after that, we should now be focusing on how we are going to talk about or finalize the issue regarding the cooperation at government level, that is coalition, in the event that the voters would give all parties share to run South Africa. Then all of a sudden, of course, that meeting with IEC is scheduled to take place on the 25th of this month in Cape Town. So what we were surprised then when we heard John Steenhuisen saying that we are going to get letters of invitation from his PA, and that he's got this magnificent jet which is going to go to the moon. But we sort of reminded that it is not the way we operate in the opposition party benches. We have been working together during the time of Thulima Donsela, which led to the state culture inquiry by Zondo. It was the opposition which worked together.
Okay.
But now, what we are not going to do is we are not going to stop DA's trip to the moon, but we are still saying to him, if he's a member of that forum, he still has the door is open for him to come and table either before or when he comes back from the moon and tell us what he wants to do. But for him to even went to the extent of threatening other party members to say, the donors, if the donors can tell or convince UDM and other parties who don't want to board this train, that borders on arrogance on his part.
Okay, so General Holomisa, I'm sorry to interrupt you. So the point is, it's the way he's doing it. It's the attitude, maybe, that he's showing. Is that the problem?
That is the main problem, because some of us, we are not, he must remember that we are not his beginning boys.
Hey.
So the fact that he even have the temerity to tell people that don't give those people money. For that matter, He is actually saying to the people of South Africa that these donors are the ones who influences the decisions of the DA. We are not depending, we are not in anybody's pocket. They can keep their millions. We've been here for the last 24 years, not getting money from Anglo-American or from Oppenheimers and so on. Those parties which are getting money from that crew, then they can form an alliance.
Okay. General, would it be easier then if someone else was, if another party was leading this? As I understood Steenhuisen when he first made the proposal at the DA conference, he was talking about what happens in Parliament where you have an official leader of the opposition, and that's an office. And I think he's sort of hanging it on that. I'm not saying that he's right to. I think that's his argument. I mean, I don't know who else could lead this thing. The DA is the biggest opposition party, whether you like it or not. I mean, is it right that they should lead it, or should someone else lead it?
No, we're not talking about who leads what. We're talking about a principle here. We even discussed the possibility, and I was mandated to approach certain institutions in writing as to whether they wouldn't facilitate to issue invitations to a national convention where we are going to talk about the progress we've made since 1994 and whether there are any inherent defects which needs to be clarified. And in doing so, this we are not going to confine to the political parties in Parliament only, but it would include parties outside Parliament and the sectors of our civil society. That's the part he was trying to hijack. That has been the decision of the opposition parties.
Okay.
So his style of leading, I'm sorry, we are not going to go a long route with a person like that.
You know our politics very well. You've been a big part of it for quite a long time. What do you think it'll take to keep the ANC out of power next year? I mean, and particularly maybe an ANC EFF coalition. Do you even think such a coalition would work?
The ANC can be taken out of power if we agree to come up with a similar structure they have. ANC is composed of hardline socialists, capitalists, religious grouping, traditional leaders, labor movements, and so on. If you want to structure an alternative, it has to come closer to what they have today. That's why I penned down that let us have a convention which is going to focus on the need to go back to the original agenda, that of improving the quality of lives of all South Africans, and that this vehicle must include everybody who lives in South Africa. But for the DA to say they are going to use some of the black parties to ascend to power is out. So the ANC will still lose the votes next year. And it's still too early as to talk about who is your enemy, who is not your enemy, and how a government of coalition would be established. Because these preconditions which say, I don't want to work with so-and-so, we have seen them in the past. Look at the DA when they said they don't want to work with the EFF. EFF instead helped them to have mayors in number of metros. But now all of a sudden that the EFF and the DA are not in good terms, everybody must be the enemy of the EFF. To hell with that.
Thank you very much indeed, General Bantu Holomisa, the leader of the United Democratic Movement. Do appreciate the time this afternoon.